Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Coates. I am a technology learning coach in Columbus, Ohio, here in the US. I get to support teachers every day on how to use technology in the classroom to impact teaching and learning. Kami has been one of those tools that has made a huge impact in our district. So I'm really excited to be here today with you to present on how you can use Kami to transform your instructional resources to really create dynamic learning experiences for your students. There are many ways that you can use Kami to create dynamic resources. I've focused in on three main steps. Step one, split and merge. With this tool, you'll be able to pull parts of different files to make that perfect file for your class. Step two, add asynchronous instructional supports. I'm going to show you how you can use different Kami features like video comments and screen capture to really make your resource dynamic. And lastly, step three, multiple opportunities for student engagement. This is where you are going to give ways using Kami for your students to actually engage with the content instead of just reading it or just viewing it on the screen. Let's look at the first step, split and merge. Right now, you are looking at the Kami dashboard, and in the middle of the screen is the button called Split and Merge. Go ahead and click on that. From this screen, you are going to choose which files you want to work with. You can simply drag and drop directly from your device. You can pull in the files from Google Drive or from OneDrive. For this example, I'm going to use Google Drive. I'm going to click on the Google Drive icon. And from here, I'm going to search for the file that I want to work with. Once you find the file, you can double click. And it is loaded on my screen. I need to pull in a second file, so I'm going to click on Google Drive again. And from here, I'm going to pull in my second file. Another way I can add it is I can click on it once and then click the select button. I have my two files I want to work with, so I'm going to go ahead and click next. And from this screen, I see the first file here at the top and the second file here below. I'm looking at the first file here with the 4 pages, and I only want to use pages 1 and 3. So under pages 2 and 4, I'm going to click on this trash can, which is going to delete those pages for me. If I look down here at my second file, I really only want to use pages 2 and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag, and I can pull them up here to the top. From here, if I needed to, I could move the pages around. I could also rotate the pages by clicking on these little arrows. If I can't remember what the page was about, I could click on these 2 arrows to maximize it to the screen. And I can always click on this icon to duplicate a page as well. I no longer need these pages down here, so I could individually delete them, but instead I'm just going to click on the X right here, and it will delete all those pages for me. The next step is definitely rename this file type since you've just created a new file, and name it something that's going to make sense to you. And then from here, you're going to click on Export. There are 4 options on this screen. You can download the files directly to your device. You can open it in Kami, or you can save it directly to Google Drive or OneDrive. I'm going to go ahead and click Open in Kami. From here, I can scroll down and I see those first 2 pages, and then I see the article that I added, and then there's one last option I want to show you. At the bottom, there's a plus sign that says Add More Pages. Go ahead and click on that. And from here, you have some options to add new pages. You can choose how many pages you want to add. You can choose the page type, so you can choose blank, lined, grid, or music. And you can also choose the orientation, portrait or landscape. I'm going to go ahead and add one lined page that's portrait, and then go ahead and click Add. So if I scroll to the bottom here, I see that lined page that I add that I can now edit and use in this resource. One last thing I want to show you though is I can continue to use split and merge if I need to move the pages around again. So I'm going to go up here in the top right hand corner on my menu bar, and I'm going to click Split and Merge Document. Here I see that new file that I created, and I don't need to add any more files. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And here I see those 4 pages and that lined page that I just added. So I can go ahead and click this page and move it. So let's say I wanted it to appear earlier in the file, I can do that. And then I could use that duplicate button as well if I wanted more of the lined pages. When I'm ready to go, I can rename it something that makes sense and then click Export and go through those other steps that we just looked at. So split and merge is a really important step that you can use in Kami to add instructional resources together from different file types, and you can pick and choose pages that you want to use to make that perfect file for your classroom. Before we move to step 2, let's talk about learning styles. Do you have a learning style? Are you a kinesthetic learner or an auditory learner? Well, I have some news for you. This whole idea of learning styles is actually a myth. I know what you might be thinking. That can't be true. I thought that way too. But research is actually showing that there really isn't evidence to support learning styles. You might have a preference. You might like to learn visually instead of a different way, but that doesn't mean you can't learn a different way. Our brains aren't wired to only learn through one learning style. Now, you most likely learned about learning styles. You most likely learned about it when you were learning to be a teacher. So how does this impact what you're doing now? Well, when you're designing lessons, and especially when you're designing instructional resources, because learning styles isn't really a thing, we need to make sure we're giving students multiple ways to learn content and multiple ways to engage with what they're learning, not based upon their learning style. With this in mind, let's take a look at step 2. Add asynchronous instructional supports. There are many different ways we can add these supports. If you look on the left-hand side, Kami has many features we can use. I'm going to focus on comments and add media. So if we go ahead and open comments, I'm going to click on the comment icon. There are 4 different comment types within Kami. The first is the text comment. If I click on this icon here, I'm then going to come down and choose a color. So let me choose the color red. And the color is going to be the color of the dot where your comment sort of lives on the page. So for example, I have a red dot. If I click here, you're going to see the dot on the page, and then my comment box appears on the right. And this is where I type my comment. So pretty simple and easy way to add a text comment. The next comment that I want to show you is a video comment. And just like a text comment, you're going to click on the icon. You're going to choose a dot color. So let's say I'm going to use blue. And then the thing to remember is whenever you click on the page, your recording will start right away. So if I were to add my dot right here, you'll see my video pop up on the screen. And this is where you can start to add your video. When you're done recording, you'll go ahead and click done. And the video would be saved in the video comment right here. Let's take a look at some of the video comments that were already added in.
Wanted to give you a brief overview of today's practice. So this first page is showing that the parent function is y equals x, or f of x equals x.
So this video, the teacher's just reviewing the activity for the students. And as you can see, the video comments are added throughout the resource. Let's take a look at another one.
Be careful on number 6 and number 7. You should have 2 transformations listed for these.
And then that's another example there. And what video comments really allow you to do as the teacher is your students hear your voice, your students see your face. It's almost as if they're in class with you. And it just allows you to provide other teachable moments throughout this resource that are just hard to recreate just using text or other features here on the screen. The next comment I want to show you is a voice comment. So if I click on the comment box, I'm going to go ahead and click on the voice comment icon. Just like the other comments, you're going to go ahead and pick a color, and then you're going to click anywhere on the screen. And you will see here again, the recording is going to begin right away. And when you're done, you'll go ahead and click stop. So in this example here, you'll see that there's a few different dots. I went ahead and recorded my voice reading out loud these quiz questions.
Dinosaurs went extinct millions of years ago.
So this is a great way if you often are reading aloud text to your students, or there's other ways you can use the voice comment feature as well, that it's just built within Kami. You can add it onto the screen. And I love the dots. It just makes it an easy way for students to find what comment correlates to that dot and correlates to what part of the page that it's referring to. The last comment type is called screen capture. So if I come over here to my comment icon, I come down to screen capture. This is Kami's built-in screen recording tool. And what's really amazing about it is just that it's built in. You don't have to go outside of Kami. It's all gonna work within this page right here. So if I go ahead and click on the screen capture tool, I'm gonna pick what color I want. You can also change the dot color by clicking on more colors here, and you have lots of different options. So let me go ahead and pull in a different kind of blue. There we go. And just like the other comments, once you click on the screen capture is gonna go ahead and get started. You're gonna pick what part of your screen you wanna record, and then it is doing just that. It's recording your screen as you are talking and maybe pointing things out. When you're done, you can go ahead and click done, and then that screen recording will exist within that comment box right here. So this example on this resource and how you might use it, students here are listening to a podcast and they're reading along with the text. At the end of the text, here are some questions and some activities for students to work on. And since I know that I'm going to be asking students to storyboard the podcast or reflect on their thinking or paying attention to helpful words, I might want to share with them on how to mark up the text so that they're paying attention to those things. Now, my students might not know how to mark up the text, or they might not know how to use the Kami markup tool, so I can create a screen capture comment to show them how to do that.
As you are listening to the podcast, be sure to follow along with the text. And as you are listening and reading, I want you to mark up the text when you read.
So you might have noticed I clicked on this icon here. It also allows you to make your screen capture video full screen, which is really nice, so you're not just viewing it on the little comment box to the right. The last one we're going to look at is add media. We just finished the 4 different comment types. Add media is another way to really enhance your instructional resource. Right here, you're looking at an article, a science article, and I've went ahead and highlighted a few vocabulary words. For example, look at this word algae. And algae is just one of those words that my students might not really have an idea of what that is or what that even looks like. So I want to go ahead and add in an image for them. To do this, I can click on the Add Media tool on the left-hand side, and I have a few options. I can add the image directly from my computer. I can add it from Google Drive or OneDrive, or I can click on Google Image Search, and what's amazing is it brings it up within Kami. So you don't have to go searching for the image outside of Kami. All right, let's go ahead and type algae and look at all of these amazing pictures that I can use. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this image here and click select. I can move my algae picture all around the screen, and then when I find the place that I wanna put it, I can just click, and then I can use this part here to resize it. And just adding that image makes this resource more dynamic and more visual for my students. If I go to add media, I also have the option of pulling in videos from YouTube. So I'm looking at another word here like virus, and I know that it's gonna be helpful to also add some video support. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on YouTube. And for videos, you do have to open YouTube directly to find your video. From here, I'm going to search, what is a virus? And once I find the video I wanna use, I do need to click and open it up. I then need to get the link to this video. I can either copy and paste it from above, or I can come below and click share, and then click copy. I'm gonna go back to my Kami file. I'm gonna go ahead and hit paste. And then if you click on these 2 green arrows, it will refresh the video for you, and then I can go ahead and click next. And just like the image, I can drop it anywhere on the screen, and I can resize it as needed. And one of the most amazing parts of adding a video is when you click play, it plays right on your screen. So your students aren't opening the video up in a new tab, so they don't have 100 tabs open. It's all embedded on this page, which is just amazing. I do want to show you one last thing is where you can actually combine video and comments together. If you click on comment on the left-hand side and click text comment, again, choose that color for your dot and place it anywhere on the screen. If you paste that YouTube link, it will actually load the video within the comment. So this is a nice option if you want that video to be off of the main page and maybe out of the way. So again, as you can imagine, there are many, many ways we can use Kami to add all of these different asynchronous instructional supports. But if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, I definitely recommend checking out those different comment types and adding media. Okay, let's take a look at the last step, step 3, multiple opportunities for engagement. With Kami, you can provide multiple ways for your students to actually engage with the content instead of just looking at it on the screen. I know when my district started using more and more digital resources, PDFs almost became this bad word because you couldn't really do much with it. It was just on your device for you to look at. But with Kami, you can actually now use different features to engage with the content in a really dynamic way. So with that, let's take a look at some examples. With just a few tweaks, you can make your resource more dynamic and more so give multiple opportunities for your students to engage. So you might recognize this file. This is the file that we created in step 1 using split and merge. And if you remember at the very bottom, we added in a lined page. What I went ahead and did was add a few examples of ways you can just have your students engage with the content in a few simple ways for them to show their learning and again, engaging with that resource beyond just viewing it on the screen. So anytime you're having students read text on the screen, an easy way to have them engage is go ahead and highlight a few important terms or concepts ahead of time, and then simply ask students to use the dictionary tool to find the definitions. So here I'm just prompting students, find the definitions of 2 of the words highlighted in green. So then students will go back to the text and they can choose which 2 that they want to use. So for example, let's say I see this word parliament and I don't know what that means. I'm going to go ahead up here, I'm going to click on the dictionary tool, and then I'm going to double click on the word, and here I see a few definitions for parliament. I can go ahead and choose one of those definitions, and down below I can go ahead and type it in using the text feature. So if I clicked on text box, this is where I would type my definition. From here, you'll notice that you can move the text box around, and it also opens up the text editing formatting up here at the top of the screen. So I can highlight the text and I can change the font size, or I can change the font, and then here I can change the font size. I can change the color. I can do additional formatting pieces up here when you click on the text box. Down here for number 2, I have students choose one of the words and complete the Frere model below. The Frere model is one of those graphic organizers that you can use in every content area with every concept that you're teaching, having students choose a word or concept and then going through and filling in definition, characteristics, examples, and non-examples. And because they're using Kami, you'll see here I noted for students use text and also images and video. So I went through and I added for my definition, I added an image. For characteristics, I pulled in a video. That again plays right there on the screen. So again, this is something your students might have already done before, but since they're using Kami, they can engage with it in a different way. Down here, I pulled an image from the text and I'm going to ask students using a voice comment, describe what you see happening. So just like you did as a teacher, for a student to use a voice comment, they'll click on the comment box, they'll click on the voice comment icon, choose the color for their dot, and then this is where they would add their voice comment. I don't know about you, but when you ask a student to explain their thinking instead of typing it, you always learn a lot more about what they understand. And with Kami, this is just such an easy way for them to engage and share their thinking. This example here, students can always pull in a video to relate to something that they learned. So this one builds upon number 3, find a video that relates to the picture. And I added that by going to add media, clicking on that YouTube icon. I pulled in my video directly from YouTube, and just a reminder, you have to copy and paste your link right there. Let's take a look at the last example. In the text, circle the name of the event that you think was the most influential and mark up evidence in the text to support your thinking. Create a screen capture comment to show yourself marking up the text. So for this one, students can also use screen capture by going to the comment tool, clicking on screen capture. Remember, they have to also choose a dot color, and then they'll add it to the side here to record their screen. And then when they go up to the text, they can mark it up in two different ways. They can use the markup tool, and then they can use text highlighter, freehand highlighter. I like the box highlighter because it's just a little bit easier. They could also always use this drawing feature where they can draw the event that they think was the most influential. So if I go ahead and circle here, if this is the one that I think is the most influential in my screen capture video, I can explain that I'm circling this one, and then I can explain what evidence in the text supports my thinking. So as they're marking up the text, they're capturing it using that screen capture comment. So again, all of the features that you use as a teacher to create that dynamic resource, your students can also use to engage with the content. You just have to make sure you're providing them opportunities to do so. It's small little tweaks. It's asking them to use an image instead of text. It's asking them to use a voice comment to explain their thinking. These little tweaks to your resources are going to create a much more engaging experience for your students. So those are the 3 steps. And we just looked at a few ways that you can use Kami to transform your digital resources into these dynamic learning experiences for your students. Remember, step 1 is split and merge, where you can pull in different files in different format types. You can pull in different pages from those files to create the perfect resource for your class. Step 2, add asynchronous instructional supports. There's a lot of ways that you can do this. There's so many Kami features, but the big powerhouse features to get started with are comments and media. And lastly, step 3, multiple opportunities for engagement. The same features that you use in step 2, your students can use in step 3. You just have to give them opportunities to use those features. And remember, in a given resource, you don't have to use every single feature or every single tool. You can just give them one way to engage with the content. So instead of students answering using text, can they add an image instead? When answering reading comprehension questions, can they use the markup tool or the drawing tool to cite their evidence to support their thinking? When teaching a math problem, can you first model it using screen capture, and then when your students solve a problem, have them show their thinking using screen capture? With Kami, you can just make small little changes that are really going to amplify your teaching strategies. This is going to make your resources so much more engaging and more meaningful for your students. Thank you so much for your time today. I cannot wait to see how you transform your learning experiences for your students.